Good morning. Today's video is going to be a repeat of ideas that I've expressed in previous videos, yet it's one that I am doing by request. The title that I've chosen for today is 2012, A World in Transition Needs True Republics. The little blurb is, no thinking man or woman would question anyone that states, we live in a time of transition. It's obvious that things are changing. Yesterday, in a conversation with the governor of the Florida Free State, I was asked to write a message to the interim leaders that have volunteered to hold positions in the restored republic. These days, I'd rather talk than write. This is that message. I want to begin actually with a comment that came in yesterday to yesterday's video, which was examining the documents, and then I put in parentheses, of freedom. And my friend from Greece, Aristo Manes Christos Papageorgopoulos, I think I might have gotten his name close to right, who comments almost every day on my videos, I think every day. And his comments are filled with great wisdom. And everyone that's in the Republic, I trust, will be open to listening to people. It's really, really important if you're going to be in a position of, quote, leadership, that you understand and listen to where people are coming from and to what they're saying. Aristo wrote, some have a problem with the word government. And I think this video, yesterday's, addressed the issue well. Government is really not that. Government is a term used by rulers. It focuses on the issues that being under a government is being told what to do. By talking about restricting government, we seem to be talking of limiting being told what to do. What we really want is public servicing, where we are in prior agreement with the coordinating actions of social servants. We want our common interests served by a group of specialists who can ensure the dynamics of free expression flow smoothly so that nobody's rights are trampled in the process. Public servicing may not sound well to the servants, but this is not a position one attains to gain advantage over everyone else. It is really a public sector job, as humble as any such occupation. Only that which is served is the common interest, not the interest of individuals at the expense of others. Nobody without compassion could hold such a position, and yet it is a creative occupation, one where the aim is to ensure that rights are sovereign throughout. This is not telling people what to do. It involves doing what people want done. We need, and I'm skipping and going down to another paragraph, we need to stop viewing the position of social coordinator as one of ruler or governor, in other words. This can work if one bases every plan on agreed upon documented principles such as a Constitution and Bill of Rights. Aristo, thank you. Indeed, I have now talked personally not only to the governor here in Florida, but to the new governor in Hawaii, and also I've listened to the man I believe is the governor of California, although at one point He was the Chief Justice, and he's the historian Ken Cousins, who is on R.J. Hender's show every Friday, and he just dispenses such great wisdom about our world. And I want to address Tim Turner and everyone else in the Republic that's holding an office, as well as people that are in other freedom movements, to understand the concern that many have of having another government that tells people what to do, that limits freedom, that does not honor the unalienable rights of individuals anywhere, that gives every human being the right to free speech, or that guarantees their natural right to speak freely from their heart, or even what's on their mind, to worship or not worship as they see fit, whatever God or principle they aspire to, whatever one that may be, that honors the freedom to propagate information, to share information with others, freedom of the press, freedom of speech, and the freedom to assemble with people of like mind, to work together on common goals, and to do things in common interest, to allow creativity and the flow of creative expression and creative ideas, to not stamp anything out or put litmus tests on who has right thinking. And I hear that oftentimes in Republic calls of people who are obviously coming to me. They're obviously coming from a position of a fundamentalist Christian who thinks a right-thinking person is one that agrees with them. Such people that hold these ideas, that these are the kind of people we want in our republic, do not understand what a republic is. Do not understand when they say we are a Christian nation or we want a Christian republic. You put a religion, it doesn't matter what the religion is, in front of the word republic, and it is no longer a republic. A republic is a republic because it is based on, as Aristo says, a commonly agreed upon foundation of principle, such as a constitution or a Bill of Rights. The Bill of Rights must be inviolate. Nobody's rights are to be trampled in a republic, period. Anybody that tries to trample other people's rights is committing a crime against their oath of office, and I do believe sincerely that not just in the United States, but in every nation on the planet, there needs to be a constitution and a Bill of Rights similar to that of the United States. It doesn't have to be the exact same wording. The Constitution is not a perfect document. It is an evolving document, and that's okay. But the basic principles of freedom upon which a true republic is founded, freedom for everyone, the minority of one individual who has a right to free expression, to unhindered and unhampered expression of his or her journey, of his or her path, whatever that may be. It's not about defining, well, Jesus said that there's only one way, and that's the way I want it to be. I want there to be only one way. Such narrow-minded thinking will not foster the benefits to humanity of a true republic. A true republic guarantees the minority viewpoint. That's the difference between a republic and a democracy. And yet in a republic must be democratic in the respect that it listens to its people and honors its people, especially those that have a different point of view. The only limitations that could ever be implemented by those that claim to be governing, which, if you go back to the words of Jesus, he that is greatest among you shall be your servant. Not your ruler, your servant. There are too many people with too narrow a viewpoint that think that being in a position of leadership gives them the right to tell other people what to think, what to do, and even what not to think and what not to do. That's the kind of governing we've had, and it's no wonder that people are rightfully concerned when they hear talk of more government. People don't want to be governed. They want to be free. And the flame of freedom burns in every soul, and it doesn't matter whether they were born in a Christian nation, a Muslim nation, a nation with Buddhist principles or Taoist principles, a communist nation, a so-called democratic nation, which there is no such thing. There is no such thing even as a communist nation. It's all been words, but not with the heart of a servant. A democracy will work if you have leaders that serve. A communist nation will work if you have leaders that serve. A socialist nation will work if you have leaders that serve. And there are people that say, well, once the republic is in power, no more handouts to people. I want to talk about that because people, the human family, has been robbed by so-called rulers throughout our history. I mean, our history is rife. What we can observe. Now, I don't believe that most of the history that have come down to us from especially the distant past, is very accurate. It has been tampered with for centuries. Centuries at least. Over the past 2 millennia, there has been so much tampering with our ancient history. And it probably goes back further than that, but it goes back at least that far. So we can't trust our history, but we can see the effect of government. The governments that are in place in the world right now, we can see what's wrong with them and why people are concerned about government and not wanting people telling them and giving them orders. When I first entered the Republic, I had people immediately giving me orders. And my job as the Secretary of State was to serve all the people, not to take orders from a small group of people that wanted to be in control and they wanted their ideas to be in the predominant role. It's imperative. It's absolutely imperative that those that hold positions of, quote, authority understand that that authority is a divine responsibility to honor and serve those that in our culture are seen as underneath, but in reality, they are the top, not the bottom. The people, the consent of the governed, is what determines a real republic. Are you honoring the consent of the governed? If you're trying to impose your idea, your belief system, your rules on someone else, you are not operating with the heart of a servant. You do not have the wisdom and the experience necessary to actually serve people. And you need to dismiss yourself until you can go through such changes where you've integrated your own shadow and your own dark nature enough to understand that you don't have all the answers. That you have to be wise and intelligent and compassionate, as Aristo says. It's important that leaders are compassionate, men and women. Compassionate to the point of allowing themselves to be criticized and not reacting with a hissy fit or an ego tantrum. It's not about domination. We've had enough domination in our world. It's about freedom. If those in the Republic, that I've heard some of them, I've heard them on some of the calls, they still think that we got to base it on the Bible. Well, the Bible is a wonderful book. It contains a lot of good things. It's not the Word of God. It's been tampered with too many times throughout our history to be considered the unaltered Word of God, or the, what's the word that I'm looking for? oh, I can't remember the word right now. Anyway, it's not perfect. The Constitution, and especially the Bill of Rights, up through the first 13 original amendments at least, of the Constitution, those are good foundational starting points that our forefathers gave us. I'm not saying it's perfect, but I'm saying that no law can be passed that contravenes a right or runs over someone's rights. Everybody, again, has a right to their own freedom, to be secure in their own person and property where they're living. It's not a matter even of owning property, as some of the Native Americans say. They don't own property, but you are using that particular space to live, to conduct your life with your family and friends as you see fit. And that should be inviolate. Nobody should be able to violate your property, which is the place where you're working and operating from. It's your property while you are there. While you are calling that your home. That needs to be without violation. That's your homestead. That's your domain. And you are the Lord of your own domain. Each person is. Each person is a sovereign of his or her domain. And that is as it should be. And a true republic always respects and honors that. Always. And no leader, no one holding the office of a public servant should ever be allowed to get away with imposing his or her will on another against the will of the other. Nobody should. And all agreements should be understood, or they are not agreements. That's what a contract is. It's an agreement between two or more persons or individuals. Two or more. It's an agreement. And we can be in agreement, I believe, on this planet if we are comfortable with understanding that our viewpoint and our natural rights are not violated by those who think they are in positions of authority. Again, he that is greatest among you shall be your servant. And I didn't take the office of Secretary of State to lord it over people or to tell people what to do. And some may say, well, Ron, aren't you just now telling people what to do? Yes, I'm telling people what to do. Honor everyone's freedom, including your own. But your own freedom ends where the next person begins. Understand that. That's a basic foundational principle. And if you don't get that, you don't understand anything of God. Because God is the greatest freedom source in all of the universe, in all of the cosmos. God is on a freedom kick. Look what has been allowed. Total freedom. And look what we have done with our freedom, some of us. We have either surrendered our birthright of having freedom, or we've usurped the freedom of others and asserted authority over others and dominated them to our own and their pain and destruction. And everyone that has done the top thing of creating an authority over other people, they're going to have a tremendous karma to pay. Their bill is coming due very, very quickly, and judgment is upon their house, because that is totally, totally out of principle of love. It's out of the principle of the nature of God, and it needs to be examined, and it needs to be challenged at every point till it is eradicated from the earth, that anybody dominates anybody else. I see my time is approaching the 20-minute mark, and I'm not going to go over that. So this is my message to all of you that aspire to be leaders. You are servants of all men and women. You are to be humble and compassionate. That's the way it is. Namaste. God bless you.